typical human nature is choosing the path of least resistance. And at the moment, in many different election cycles, for example, which is a very serious, issue that people are facing right now, they're completely dissatisfied with the way that their country is being governed. They want good leadership, and yet they have a really bad option or a less bad option. And so, as a Christian, and as an Orthodox Christian, when there really aren't very many Orthodox Christian options, or any leaders sort of displaying those values in the world, how should Christians approach things like elections?
That's a really good question. There's a kind of a difference of opinion among serious Christians, I think. Some people say just to leave it entirely because it's all corrupt and there's no saving it, and not to lend your support to anything. There's others, and very serious saints in our day, who say, well, at least in the Orthodox context, now he's speaking in Greece, St. Paisios says, well, you have to choose the least worst. And
that's how it feels.
Yeah, choose the least worst. And I guess that is an option, but it never should be what we should always, I think, assumed in that statement by St. Paisios was that you understood that don't expect much, right? And don't put your trust there, obviously, in the sons of men, right? And don't think that therefore you're going to have some kind of godly solution. I mean, none of that's going to happen. But in order to basically avoid something worse immediately, it's like a practical problem that you have to choose, the least worst. If you have a choice that is of God and a man of God, which is very, very, very rare today. I mean, once upon a time we had such servants, but then you should obviously take that and not be satisfied. But I think this is on a kind of superficial political level. We can do those kinds of economy, as it would be called, like some kind of dispensation or something for something temporary. But on a deeper level, of course, we should not put our trust or follow after the two options that are always given that are of this world, and be always free from it in our intellect and in our soul and our disposition, not put our trust in it. That's essential. Otherwise we will be led astray. You see Christians getting very excited about men who are clearly not men of God, and almost getting religious fervor for that. I mean, the rise of Obama in the United States, people, when he rose to power, I mean, there were people who were saying the way he rose to power in America was a kind of foreshadowing of the way the Antichrist will be embraced. There were people who said that in the Orthodox Church. People now are getting behind, President Trump, and that's perfectly understandable with regard to what's the option, on a national level. But again, far, far from what the Christian vision is. So we should not become persuaded and religiously devoted and in any of that, right? That's delusional. So I think, one of the characteristics of a very advanced Christian is that he can discern the spirits. And the spirits here doesn't mean only, the spiritual world, but the ideas which have spiritual like existence behind them. Like behind ideologies, there is a spirit. There is the demons or things of God, right? So when it says you have to discern the spirits in the scriptures, it's talking about the whole spectrum of discernment. And so, discern what's really going on here in 21st century America with this election. Don't be swayed and become enamored or religiously devoted to the next president, whoever that might be. That would be tragic for an Orthodox Christian.
The way I see it, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is that really there will be no perfect government until the return of Jesus. So there's no, it's never going to happen. But does that mean? I mean, I hear what you're saying 100% and about the religious devotion to a man, and of course that every Christian should believe that, I think. But that doesn't necessarily mean that Christians shouldn't be involved on a ground level with, say, the better option, or lobbying and things like that, you're not saying to completely distance yourself from that, although there are some that think we should.
No, I think you have to stand and fight for the truth for two reasons. First and foremost, out of love for the incarnate truth, Christ, and in the realm of ideas for the truth which sets people free from delusion. And then on a personal level, you have to stand for truth in the realm of ideas in society for your own spiritual salvation, spiritual advancement. And when you suffer for the truth in any way, when I was before I became an Orthodox Christian 33 years ago, I was in the university. I was going and sitting in front of the abortion clinics, and we were working to help women not to slaughter their unborn babies, and that was all beautiful. I wasn't an Orthodox Christian. Didn't matter, but that was a beautiful thing because there was the human person was being threatened, and there was the truth of that this is a human being that's being killed. That was all a beautiful thing to fight for that. So for my own spiritual benefit, that was necessary, right?
And for the others, for others around you,
and for the others, of course. But I mean, on a basic level, I cannot do otherwise, right? I cannot do otherwise if I'm going to be a Christian. I can't. Christians always are going to stand for the truth and for the love of their neighbor. That's just that's just an expression of who they are. Right. So it's not even discussed. Should we or should we not be concerned about our community or our society or our nation? Should we be involved? I think it's a given that as a Christian, you're going to do that. But we're not going to be deluded into putting our trust and hope in that or thinking that this is going to somehow save humanity. I mean, that whole utopian idea that has been present in the Western world is not of God. Right. There is no salvation in this world. There is no savior in and of this world. There will not be a 1,000-year reign on earth of Jesus Christ. That's not why he came. That is a heresy. That is a delusion. Christ will come and there will be a new heaven and a new earth. And he's come to not to make this fallen world give us another 1,000 years. That's a pale shadow of what he came to give us, right? So and there are people who fall into that trap. They become horizontally focused, too horizontally focused. It's both and, right? We're in this world, we're not of it. We're here struggling for the neighbor, but we're not thinking that by helping him along, that in and of itself is my task or the task of the church to make it a better life. That's not the task of the church to improve things. It's like we're on the deck, the desk, the top of the Titanic, and we're going to make things better. Well, we know that this thing's going down. Like it's futile. But for the sake of my neighbor, for the sake of my love of my neighbor and this society, yes, I'm going to struggle, but I'm not going to actually have the delusion to think that the ship's not going down.
Yeah.
This world will come to an end. This is not forever. We're not here forever, right? So that tension is the tension of in the world but not of it. It's the tension of constantly loving and struggling in this world for the sake of the truth and our neighbor, and at the same time having an eschatological vision that this world will end and I'm living for eternity. So it's both and it's happening at the same time, and you got to keep that tension. So you don't fall into the various delusions. There are people who think, oh, well, life will begin after I die, and so nothing matters in this world. Doesn't matter what I do here. That's delusional. That's heretical. But there are people who think all that matters is here. All that matters is what I do here, and build a better society, and give my life to build some kind of institution. Both are wrong. Both are distortions. So you have to keep that tension as a Christian.